So I mentioned this on the show. I tweeted this yesterday. Yesterday was the 50th anniversary of Fred Hampton's death. Fred Hampton was the Black Panther Party revolutionary who was shot and killed by the FBI at 21. And why was he shot and killed by the FBI at 21? Because he was advocating for class solidarity. He was advertising. He was advocating for Black people and white people to unite in solidarity of the working class. And he was advocating for socialism. And he was appealing to a lot of people. So the FBI decided, we got to kill this guy. And they did. At point blank range, in cold blood. They murdered this guy. We talked about that yesterday on the show because it was the 50th anniversary. Thank you all for tuning in for that and for your kind words on that clip. That same day, and I tweeted about this. We didn't talk about it on the show yesterday because it hadn't hit the news quite yet. It hit the news right around the time we were streaming. But George Zimmerman, who murdered Trayvon Martin in Florida, we all remember that story when it happened. George Zimmerman is now suing Trayvon Martin's family for $100 million. He killed an unarmed teenager, a 17-year-old kid, in cold blood. We remember that when it happened. He's now suing the family of Trayvon Martin for $100 million. And this hit the news on the 50th anniversary of Fred Hampton's death, a Black activist and revolutionary who was murdered by the FBI. Trayvon Martin, a teenager who was murdered for being Black and being in a neighborhood George Zimmerman didn't want him in. That's why Trayvon Martin was murdered. And by the way, whenever I talk about George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin, I always will inevitably say George Martin at some point, who was a great producer who really helped out the Beatles. And my music brain, I will always have a slip of the tongue. I remember I had when Trayvon Martin was murdered, this was about 2013, I was living in Nashville, and I had a small lefty morning talk show in Nashville, Tennessee. The show didn't succeed. We had some good segments, but the show didn't succeed. I know you're thinking, Ron, a lefty talk show in Tennessee? I can't imagine. But, it didn't succeed. And shout out to that. I got a lot of love for Nashville, don't get me wrong. But the show didn't take off the way we were hoping it would. But we were talking about Trayvon Martin when that happened. And or that's where I was when I was talking about Trayvon Martin. So I got a lot of emails, some in favor, some not in favor. But anyway, here's what's going on. You're probably thinking, how the hell is this guy suing the family? Well, here's what's going on. So George Zimmerman sues Trayvon Martin's family and state prosecutors for $100 million, says false evidence was used in the murder trial. The murder trial where, by the way, he was acquitted. But anyway, let's go on. George Zimmerman, the man acquitted for the 2012 killing, it was 2012 when he was actually, but the trial took place in 2013. So the 2012 killing of Trayvon Martin is suing the family of the slain teenager as well as Florida prosecutors for $100 million, arguing false evidence was manufactured during his trial. The suit was filed in Florida's Polk County Circuit on Wednesday. So that was yesterday as of the recording of this. So what they're getting at here is they're saying that this person's statement, Diamond Eugene, whose real name is Rachel Gentile, they're saying that she was not actually Trayvon Martin's girlfriend and she gave a false testimony. Zimmerman's attorneys allege Martin's family, their lawyers, and state prosecutors ordered, commanded, conspired, and covered up the illegal substitution of the defendant Eugene, who they deem a legitimate witness, with Gentile, an imposter and fake witness, who told a made-to-order false storyline to prosecutors. That's an awkward sentence. Okay, interesting. So they're saying this Rachel Gentile person posed as Martin's girlfriend, who is Diamond Eugene. And by the way, Diamond Eugene is not the person's real name. All right. So that's okay. Gotcha. Now, what they're getting at here, too, there was a movie made about this. The new suit is largely based on the findings, quote unquote. It's not in quote in the article. I'm putting it in quotes, of the Trayvon hoax, unmasking the witness fraud that divided America. So this was a book by Joel Gilbert, later turned into the documentary. This film was set to premiere at the Florida Art Festival, but was canceled because of all the suit and all the stuff that's going around it. So here's which is interesting here. So they're saying that this person's testimony was somehow false and that it somehow contributed to this case. This case, which, by the way, George Zimmerman won. George Zimmerman, he's a free man. He was acquitted. They said it was self-defense. They evoked the standard ground law, which, by the way, it's disgusting that such a disgusting law and ordinance in the state of Florida evokes Tom Petty's name. That's very gross to me. But he was freed. So this person's testimony, how did it, I mean, he was set free. And since this has happened, he has become somewhat of a celebrity in certain circles, and other people think he's a racist murderer. I fall into that other people category, by the way. I think he's a racist murderer, but other people applaud this guy as a hero, and he has profited from this. He sold the gun that he murdered Trayvon Martin with for $250,000. $250,000 he got for that gun. Now he's claiming that, it was going to, what he was going to use that money for, what was going to be to fight Black Lives Matter, by the way. That's what George Zimmerman said he was going to use that money for. What did he actually use it for? But he said he was going to use it to fight Black Lives Matter. Noble cause, George Zimmerman. But so what is this guy complaining about as far they're saying that, his liberties were infringed upon? How? He was freed. He killed a kid. And by the way, as far as the timeline goes, they're saying that this person's testimony messed with the timeline. We pretty much know the timeline because George Zimmerman called the police. You guys remember that? He was on the phone saying, hey, there's a shady guy in my neighborhood. This guy, he looks suspicious or something like that. I'm, of course, paraphrasing the actual conversation. They were like, all right, sir, we'll send someone to investigate it. He said he was following the guy. George Zimmerman said, I'm following this person. The person on the other end told him not to do that. They were like, you don't need to follow this person, sir. Just don't do that. But George Zimmerman was a wannabe cop who anointed himself some community watch, and he really wished he could be a cop. So he followed this guy anyway, confronted him. It turned into a physical altercation, and George Zimmerman shot Trayvon Martin dead. Trayvon Martin, who was only armed with a bag of Skittles. That's what happened. And we only got George Zimmerman's testimony of events. You know why? Because Trayvon Martin's dead. He couldn't give his side of the story. And now they're saying because of some witness, it makes... You got to be kidding me. And George Zimmerman, he's a free guy. He walked free. It's not like he lost this. He won. They're saying it damaged his life. Well, Trayvon Martin's dead. You don't get much more damage to someone's life than that. He's dead at 17. This is a money grab. That's what this is. This is yet another money grab. George Zimmerman has used killing an unarmed teenager as an opportunity to enrich himself. And he has many times over. He sold $250,000 that gun auction for. And now he's trying to sue for $100 million. Sue the family of the 17-year-old that he killed. All because of some documentary that's saying, this witness wasn't who they said. You've got to be kidding me. Unreal. All right, so that's justice in the USA, folks. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and